All right, what up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of These Corona Times. You're tuned in with Tiffany and Dr. Simone and Mr. Brandon.
Yo, what's good?
I was waiting for it.
Oh my God.
What up, everybody? It is episode 16.
16.
Up there, yeah. Okay, episode
I
16.
can't believe it.
Me either. This one is called No Money, Mo Problems in These Corona Times.
Man,
Woo,
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
It's
I
a
can
real
relate
thing.
definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So I ain't gonna give nothing away. I'll leave all that episode description and guest intro to my co-host. So without getting into that, let me just shift on over and ask y'all how's your week been? How's it been going?
It's been tough. It's been very tough, and I know we're going to talk about why a little bit later. Just a lot going on. A lot of loss this week.
Yep. And
Yeah.
How about you, Brent?
Man, same. I've just really felt exhausted. It's just been a lot. It's really been a lot this week, to be honest. It's really been a lot.
Yeah. I was looking forward to a week of, I won't say total relaxation because I'm on vacation or anything. I'm still working, but just alleviated pressure of us just finishing a program. So I was looking forward to it being a really chill week. And like Simone said, it's just been a lot at once. A lot of lost a lot of things going on. So yeah, there's that. Before we go any further, we want to make sure that we thank you guys for your love and support, because I know that helps us a lot. We appreciate when you all tune in. It makes us feel good, like we're actually doing something that's meaningful, that counts, that people are paying attention to. And trust me, after a long week, it helps to see the likes, the comments, the views and shares on our watch parties or our posted videos. Yeah, so thank you all so much for continuing to support us in that way. And please keep doing it. You know, we get new fans every week, a few here or there. So
Every day, actually. I still get notifications every day that somebody has liked the These Corona Times page. Just looked, we are up to 337 people that follow the page and that like it. So we definitely appreciate the support that you all have given us.
Yep. So y'all keep on. Initially, we were joking that our goal was to get on the Ellen show, but Ellen might not be around too much longer. So
because Ellen's not nice. Apparently, she's not nice to people.
No.
She seems like such a nice person, but I mean, hey.
Yeah. So we have to set our goals a little higher. Maybe try to get on the Talk or the View or something else. But we appreciate your support.
So, like we were saying earlier, we've been through a lot this week, but we, still got to check in on our self-care. I think mine was a little bit, thrown off with everything going on. But how did you all do? Brandon, how did you do? You said you're supposed to be staying
do
present.
very well. I didn't do very well. I didn't do, and really, man,
irony.
August has been just a very stressful week. Again, shout out to my wife for getting a great job. The last month or so has just been a lot. August is a lot because she started her new job. She, school is in session now, and it's just a lot going on in the Howard house, and it's me being present. I'm really at this stage, to be truthful, trying to find a way to escape a little bit of it. And, whether that's through reading, whether that's through social media or through movies or shows, I'm just not as present as I have been the last couple of months. And I'm hoping that in September I can make a big stride to do better. But right now I did not do a really good job of that this week. And,
thanks for being honest about it.
Yeah.
That's how life goes.
Yeah. And I mean, as outside friends looking in, it seems like it's just a series of adjustments going on in your house. Like you said, with school starting, your wife getting a new job. We went from seeing Brandon get 8 to 10 hours of sleep throughout the summer to now like being up from 7 and being awake till like 11:30.
6.
Oh, 6. It's 6 actually.
I'm up at 6 a.m. every morning.
Oh yeah. And then he's going to bed like 11:30 or so, on some good nights. And
Brandon be the first one on the polos.
Yeah.
You be the first one on the polo sometimes. Like that's not normal.
Yeah, so hopefully, as you get into a new month and things start to slow down, you'll be able to catch a wave and get on a routine.
I think we've got some good things going on. It really was just trying to figure out, the family rhythm and getting some things handled. And, on top of all that, my job, I've started to do a little bit better with that as far as compartmentalizing some things. So hopefully, this is a new month starting on Tuesday, and hopefully to do a whole lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tiff, what about you?
Mine was just getting a mindset for vacation, and I've had no problem doing that. So I'm going on vacation on the 1st, and I'll be off till like the 8th.
Ooh.
I always try to put mines around holiday weekends, so give me a little extra cushions. And just trying to tie up loose ends before I take vacation, because it's about a week or so off in academic years. So I want to make sure that I'm not leaving folks hanging, or letting my patrons know I'll be unavailable for a few days. But yeah, I am doing well with that. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to Tuesday when I wake up in the afternoon. What about you, Simone?
For me, mine was kind of similar to Brandon's with staying present. And I will say that I think for a couple of days, I did a lot better. I tend to scroll a lot on my phone, because I'm also, I feel like looking for some like escapism as well, just with all the stress. So I made a point to kind of just leave my phone in the room and just be out there with our son and, helping him learn here and there and all that. So I did okay, but I could do better. So, yeah.
So I guess that's why you weren't texting me back this week. I was getting delayed or something.
I didn't get whatever. Listen, you went back to the gym on me, okay? I'm still trying to get used to that. Now I went from 30 minutes to an hour. Like, that's not cool.
I'm sorry.
So I think we've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks now, where we acknowledge a Black business or a Black person doing something awesome for the community. And the person that we're going to highlight today is actually our guest. So I'm not going to say too much, but we're highlighting Janessa Siegel of My Wealthy Wellness. Janessa is an entrepreneur, a financial educator, and a wellness advocate. And her website can be found at mywealthywellness.com. And we, like I said, she's going to be on here in a few minutes. So you'll learn more about her and what she does. But Brandon, do you want to orient us to the episode?
Orient us.
Good word. But definitely. And so during these Corona times, we
Way to use the title. Yes. Way to use the title.
Right. But during these times, man, money has become a very central issue. And how do you build wealth? How do you handle your debt, student loans, your mortgage, and everything like that? And I'll be the first to say that I'm not a professional when it comes to that. I dabble in it. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not fluent in that type of financial language. So we thought it would be best to have someone who does that for a living. And, how do you save? How do you create generational wealth? How do you teach your kids, about money and things along those lines? So we thought it would be best to have someone who spoke that language to come on and speak to us tonight about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, very excited to have her on. And along with that, we also have to acknowledge really what we've been doing this whole year, but acknowledging Black loss. We had the shooting of Jacob Blake, who that was in Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Who's currently paralyzed from the waist down, and there were reports that he was actually handcuffed to his hospital bed, even though he committed no crime.
And also paralyzed, like he's not going anywhere. So
right, absolutely. And then of course the loss of Chadwick Boseman, aka Black Panther, which is devastating. Even though we did not know him, that's a major loss.
Go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead, Brand. You good?
I was talking to a client earlier today, and we were talking about Chadwick, and we were like, man, he did other roles. He had a lot of great roles in Message from the King, Five Bloods, 42, Thurgood Marshall's movie, things, and the James Brown Get Up On It movie. But he really became king.
Yes,
and he really became like King T'Challa. And it was like, wow. Like he was just someone who we looked up to, someone who, when you see him on award shows, he would dress so regally. And it was like, wow, he just became Black Panther. And everything about Wakanda and everything that, you know, we aspired to be. And it was like, wow, it was just so sudden.
Yeah.
It was more than a movie. It was more than a movie. It was like so much pride tied to him and that role. Even as an adult, like, you know, it's just a movie, but it meant so much more because we are not portrayed in that light often in the media.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's a huge loss.
In our community, the African American community, we talk a lot about representation. And, you know, like Brandon said, Chadwick had other movies, but the Black Panther is probably going to be the one that he is known for the rest of time. And that's only partially because if you are into comic books, you know that there were no Black superheroes in the forefront. There were no leading. There's always Batman, there's Superman, you know, these are all white characters. So for us as a Black community, I think that's why we embraced Black Panther so much, is because it's people who look like us, you know, running their own country, you know, dressing well, having superpowers, you know, being everything that we believe that we are to be as a community, as a community and as a culture. And that was being exemplified on our screen. And I know Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know we talked a bit last week with our guest Jess, and one of the things she said has been hitting with me is that, you know, when we talk about checking in on your Black friends, your Black friends are still going through stuff. You know, like George Floyd happened, yes, but we are still going through stuff all the time. The stuff with Jacob Blake is an example. We've lost John Lewis this year. We lost another civil rights icon. We lost Kobe. You know, we've lost Chadwick Boseman now. Your Black friends are hurting. You know, and that
absolutely.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to say about that, but there was just a post on Facebook that talked about why we grieve people that we never met, and there were 5 reasons, but one of them is that they modeled possibility, you know, and when you think about, you know, like Black Panther and Wakanda, like, what would it mean to live in a society with no racism? No internalized racism, like Black power, like literally for real, Black power all over the place. We don't know that. We don't know that civilization. And so he brought all of that, you know, up for us. And so that's just a huge loss.
So we feel like our king has died. So yeah. Yep. So let's shift. You know, I know that you took us down a little bit, but I hope this episode will bring us back up. So let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have our guest on. All right, everyone, we are back, and we have a very special guest with us. Simone, would you like to give the introductions?
Yes, we have Janessa Siegel. As I said, Janessa is an entrepreneur, a financial educator, and wellness advocate. She is the founder of My Wealthy Wellness, LLC, which is an organization created to improve individuals' quality of life through financial wellness education. So, Janessa, thank you so much for being here. I know that was a brief introduction. So please tell us how long you've been doing this work, what made you pursue this path, and anything else you think we should know.
Sorry,
is that Ariel?
Yes.
I apologize.
You're fine.
But yeah, I have been working in financial wellness specifically for about 4 years now. But before that, I was working in higher education within financial aid and admissions. And so that's what really brought me into the whole financial wellness area, because working in financial aid, you get to see a lot of people's financial situations and you realize how much they do not know. So I was just very inspired to try to help as many people as possible make informed decisions and just become stable and live the life that they've always wanted to live.
Mm-hmm. So, Janessa, we want to thank you so much again for joining us. Just away from the introduction Simone gave about your professional life, we've known Janessa since she was about 14.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh
yes.
my God.
It's been a long time, friend.
Very long time.
Yes.
And
Oh
for
my
real,
goodness.
man, like just following your path and what you've been doing with these different colleges. I can say personally, I'm not going to speak for Tiff and Simone, but I'm very proud of the woman that you've become and what you've been doing. So it's been great.
Yeah.
When I saw your website and everything, I don't even know. Okay, I know we're going to get into this because me and Janessa had a conversation about my finances. But I didn't know you were doing all this. I didn't know you had My Wealthy Wellness. I mean, I was so impressed with everything that you've done and that you've already done and what you're doing. So yeah. Also, when we were talking before, she sings too, y'all. Like we do go back. She sang at my wedding. I don't know what she sang.
Listen,
I don't know what it was. It was good.
By India Arie.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about like kind of sings.
For real, sing.
We talking about like
you will sing the walls down.
For real.
Yes.
Sing.
Oh, thank y'all. Thank you so much. Y'all gonna make me blush on here. I'm a thug. I can't be blushing.
But long before we knew about this, or before she even got to this point in her life, she was very active in our church, which I think is great because even before Janessa joined our church physically, or should I say joined our church spiritually, she was already with us physically. She was in our drum corps. She was in our youth choir.
She was in the drum corps. I forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
My gosh, yes, I love drum corps. That was my first time ever doing anything with drums. Like
many of us, that was I think the only two actual people that were drummers in the group were my brother and Jonathan. That was it. The rest of us were like, we're just here by association. We just like boys. We want to have fun.
So, Janessa, we always ask everybody this before we get started. How are you doing in light of everything going on in the world? How are you? How is your wellness?
It is a lot better. But just before the year started, it was very rough because my mom passed away in December. And so it was like starting the year very difficultly. This is a special guest, Ariel. Right? No, I can't play. All right. So it was like starting the year, I was already in a very difficult headspace. Mm-hmm. So when COVID happened, it was just like, of course this would happen. Mm-hmm. But what was kind of weird, I've actually been able to find a lot of positive during this time, which I know not a lot of people have had the same experience, but I've been able to get closer with my family. I've been able to get more sleep, which I have not been able to do. And I was also able to have time to really work on my business, which I'm very, very grateful for. And I've been working from home, which has kind of shifted the way I just view work in general. And also the way I view taking care of myself, like not sitting at the screen all day, getting up, going somewhere, exercising and things of that nature. So I'm in a much, much better place. It's still hard to see other people in pain and suffering, like especially with what recently happened with my best friend, as well as us all losing King T'Challa, Chadwick. So I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. But thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So we're here today to talk about building Black wealth.
Yeah. Do we have to talk about money?
Yes, we do.
Can we talk about something else?
Kind of. I mean, we can talk about singing, but I think Janessa's the only one that can talk about it.
All right.
Listen. No.
Janessa, when we met the other day, we talked obviously about, our money matters, but we talked a lot about Black wealth and like building wealth within our communities. Can you talk a little bit about your focus within that area and why you think that's important for us as a community to focus on and talk more about?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, the reason why Black wealth is so important to me is because we as a people have started so far behind in this country. We literally had to recreate our own culture because everything was stripped away from us. And so with us creating our own culture, we had to do that while still trying to convince other people that we deserve to be treated like humans. And so there's so much that we have contributed to this country that we are not seeing. And so building Black wealth is basically, in my mind, helping us get to where we should have been in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important for us to discuss within the Black community because there were points in history where we were getting there. Black Wall Street is one of those things.
Mhm.
There were lots of neighborhoods, Black neighborhoods, where we had thriving schools and banks and police officers and firefighters and all of that. And once again, as the moment we started progressing, something was done to tear that away.
Mm-hmm.
And so
White people didn't like it.
they didn't. They didn't. And they still kind of don't. They
Nope.
really don't at all. And I just feel that instead of us trying to, I think we should deserve a seat at the table, but I just think we deserve our own table and build it ourselves. And one of the ways to do that is building wealth. So in building wealth, it's more than just the dollars and cents. Building wealth is shifting people's perspective and mindset, and also shifting how we receive each other. Because if you notice, people who have built wealth, they didn't do it by themselves. They did it with other people. And one thing about Black culture, naturally, we are a collectivist culture. It takes a village to raise a child. We thrive in neighborhoods. And unfortunately, a lot of that has been stripped away. So providing that opportunity to learn about wealth building, I also feel that provides an opportunity for families to see just how important it is to help each other. We all have room at the top. There's room at the top for everybody. There really is. Like, I just want to debunk the myth that we have to be cracked in the pearl. No, there is plenty of room at the top. And so that's why building Black wealth and helping families build that is so important to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that. And we know firsthand that money is a sensitive topic for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Some people for pride reasons, for whatever, but a lot of people don't like to talk about money. So it's good that you actually kind of bring that to the forefront.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I try to make it accessible and not scary.
Yeah. And I feel like you're breaking the mold. We may talk about this a little bit later, but I'm used to, when I talk money management or financial wellness, I'm used to hearing from a older white man.
Really?
Right.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
That's usually how it is.
Yeah. So and that goes back to what we were saying earlier before you got on, just about representation and how good it is to see someone who looks like you talking about money for your community and your family.
And that go. You said so many things. I'm over here taking notes, even though we already have notes. I'm taking more notes.
You don't know it, Janessa, but Simone's planning a part 2 and a part 3.
Listen, you're gonna be here for a minute, okay?
We planning a 6-part series on Black wealth.
Because what you said, like, white supremacy is so powerful, right? And it tells us who we are as Black people or people of color, and then we believe it, right? Like, the people who tell us about our money often are white people, older white people. And that is why one of the reasons I personally have shied away from getting more organized, because I don't want to be judged. You know, here I am, like, at the doctorate level, and I don't know, you know, some of the basic building blocks around building. I have no idea what it means to build wealth. Because our family didn't have that, you know? And so when you think about us being you just said, you know, some of these rich, you know, wealthy white people, they didn't do it by themselves. Yet there's this pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality.
Your $10,000 bootstraps, you know.
Right. And it's like,
Hey.
And so that tells me we have to talk about these things. So why do you think we don't? Like, do you think it's because I don't know, we just think it's not important, or it gives us anxiety? Because you talk about mental health a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think it's a mixture of things. I think it's a taboo subject. Because I remember growing up where it was just like, oh, that's grown folks' business.
Mm-hmm.
So money was one of those things where it was grown folks' business, so parents aren't going to talk to their kids about it. And I think, especially within the Black community, money is overly sensitive because we've been taught, oh, you don't talk to people about your money because that's letting them into your business. And we can't have nobody in our business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's that mentality. And I also think there is a sense of anxiety and stress around it, so much so it's easier just to forget about it and not talk about it. Like after my mom passed, I wrote a blog titled I Told the Storm, and it was basically talking about facing those difficult conversations and facing those difficult things. And unfortunately, I think as Black people, we've been so used to fight or flight. It's difficult sometimes for us to take a moment and look at the whole picture and plan years and years and years later. We're just trying to get by day and not shot by police. You know what I'm saying? So
survival.
Right. We're just trying to survive in a country that was built by us, but not built for us. And so I think within our community, we have been conditioned to believe that discussing money is just not a thing to do, especially if you don't have a lot of money.
And I'll say, just from my example, growing up in a, I guess, lower to middle class home, we did not have discussions on money.
Nope.
Like, I do not remember a single conversation that my parents had with me about money. We got an allowance when we did our chores and when we did this, that, and the other. And it was like, oh, save a couple of dollars, save the money that you can. But there was never any conversation about money, about credit card debt, about student loan debt, about how to really, really save money, and what is a 401k, and what is this and what is that. We never had those conversations. I'm 35 right now, and I'm just starting to have those conversations with my dad right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's deep. And that is something that I've seen a lot. And actually, it's definitely within the Black culture, but it's kind of across cultures. Because I work with students, and so I've seen students who do not look like me, who come from, middle to lower income, and their parents don't talk about it. So not only is it a race thing, it's also a class thing. And if you pay attention to a lot of the structure in our country, things were created for the upper class. Mm-hmm. Things were not created to help those in middle and under. And so having these types of conversations for a lot of people seems unreachable. It's like, oh, I don't have enough money to invest, so why would I ask somebody about it? Or I know I have debt and I'm paying the minimum on it. That's all I can do. I don't need to talk to somebody else about it. So it's an avoidance thing. And it's like, if we avoid it, then that means it's not there.
Yeah.
In our production meeting, we were talking about just the fact that people don't discuss finances until they're in debt.
Yes.
And I think that comes up a lot when in the area, Janessa, that you work in college. Like, for many of us, I know you said this is across cultures, it's not just within the African-American community, but for many of us, we don't have that money conversation at home, in high school or whatever. The discussion is go get your education. Okay. Yes. So when you're going to get your education, that's usually when you incur a lot of debt, either via student loans or that first credit card that hits because, hey, college students are going to sign up for this.
Listen, they gave me.
I'll pay later.
They gave me a $6,000 credit card.
Oh wow!
My sophomore year of college.
Never should have did it.
And they'd be like, Congratulations. You've been approved. Don't congratulate me.
Don't congratulate me because I
That's
spent
not
all
a
that money.
celebration.
No.
You're like, congratulations to us because we about to get paid. That's basically what they said.
But because we
Exactly.
don't have these discussions about this, I think many times we associate getting credit card pre-approvals or credit line increases as signs that you're doing something good, right? So they trust me to pay this back, right? So I should take it because they keep
Right.
offering it to me. You know,
And
we're gonna
yeah.
I'm a sidebar here, but I remember having to have a personal conversation with myself of having to talk myself out of why I did not need the black card because they were offering it to me.
Yes.
You was like, Tiffany, yes.
like, you know what?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I want to do it. No, you don't need to do
No,
it.
you don't need that.
I mean, the weight of the card was so heavy. It was just like, just the luxury of the black card. I just wanted.
No, ma'am.
And you could just stunt, just pull out the black card at anywhere you go. You just put it on the table. Ooh.
Yes. I mean, that's the whole status thing right there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember like certain songs, you hear them talking about the black card, whatever. So when you hear the black card, you're like, oh, I made it because that means I have enough money to pay off this black card. Not necessarily. I mean, you can have good credit and still not be able to pay off no black card. So,
and there is a difference. So there are some banks that offer a black card, like
black
it's black
card.
color, but not the black card.
Oh no. But yeah, like y'all made up said some really good points about like credit cards and stuff, because you have students who are now legal to open up this line of credit. And they always say, I'm just going to use it for gas. I'm just going to use it for
books.
But then it's like, oh, but I've been doing really good in class and I deserve to treat myself. Or, oh my gosh, my friends are growing out and I need a shirt or something. And so then it's psychologically, you're still spending this money and all they're thinking is, I have enough to pay it off. I'll be fine. I'm getting paid next week. I can pay it off. And then that's how you get into all of this debt, wondering how the heck do I owe $6,000 when I said I was only going to buy gas?
Right.
I was in South Beach spring break. That's where that money went.
The whole 6,000, Brenda?
Well, not the whole 6,000, but man, let's just say all I did was swipe that week.
It's so easy. And it feels so good too. Like next round on me. Swipe, like,
ooh,
you know what
I have never said those words.
I have not achieved that.
Never in my life.
I said those words.
I have.
I've said those words.
The whole social pressure around money is everything. And then y'all were talking about college, like that. First of all, and I work in education, and so I'm gonna say that as a caveat. The dream behind education is very close to a pyramid scheme. And this is why I say that. The only people who truly benefit financially from higher education, for the most part, are those at the highest levels. You have students getting bachelor degrees, and in certain areas where there are not enough jobs for them. And if there are jobs, they're not going to pay them enough. And they're racking up hundreds and thousands of dollars in debt just to get that degree. And so this whole dream that we've been selling people in education now, and this is somebody who believes everyone should have an education, but I don't think everybody needs to go to a 4-year institution for that education.
Absolutely.
Like, especially the way the job market is shifting now. There's so many creators out there, so many entrepreneurs out there. And so many people who have a skill that they're monetizing. And yes, do that. All I'm saying is learn how to do your books, get an accountant, make sure you're doing stuff to stay above ground, and be good. You don't need a 4-year degree for everything. And so that's a whole nother monetary I hate to say scheme, but that's kind of what it feels like sometimes.
Oh, you're right. It does.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it really does.
You're right.
Get this degree and you're going to make a lot of money.
But when you go in the job market, you don't have enough experience
Boom.
if there is a job, you don't have the experience for it.
Mm-hmm.
So then,
Let's even. I can think about my own family. I'm sure y'all can have seen examples of this, but I'm thinking about my great grandparents. Right? I thank God I had them up through my 20s, and they were a major. I mean, just a huge blessing. But they were denied education. Right? Like my great grandmother, I think she went up to like the 6th grade, and she had to stop working. My great grandfather. Brilliant people, but because they were Black, they weren't afforded education. And so that is what they pushed to their children. And my mother, who they raised, was education. They didn't know, I'm sure they knew where she was going, but they didn't know what she was doing. They didn't know how she was going to pay for it. They had no clue, but they just knew in their mind, like that was the way to a better life, which yes, for my mom and my grandmother, it was. But now things are like, I think what you're saying is we have to be nuanced in how we talk about education now, because things are different. And, when we think about, like, for my son, Caden, like, depending on what he wants to do, does he need to go to a 4-year college?
Exactly.
I'm not sure. It's not just it can't just be high school, college. That can't just be the conversation. It's got to be what else?
Exactly.
What are the other options?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like we as hosts are a good example of the variations of this, because Simone went straight through, did a doctorate program. She's at doctorate level. I have 2 masters, one of which I tell you right now I didn't need and probably shouldn't have got, because what I'm doing is not in the field. And then you have Brandon, who completed a 4-year degree, but his profession has been accomplished more through certifications, on that level. So, I think we show a picture of, the good, the bad, and the ugly of going to school, and then what can happen once you further yourself after that. But you're supposed to be, we talk about this in my profession a lot, lifelong learners. You're supposed to continue advancing yourself. And a lot of that is going to happen outside of the classroom, outside of what you learn in your degree. It's going to come from those continued certifications, continued workshops, continued networking. So, be mindful of that. All the folks who are listening who are in college, be mindful of that as you're picking your majors and your minors, and what you're going to use as electives.
Yeah, and I like that now. It used to be looked down on to go to a community college.
Yeah. Yes.
It looks
like you went to JCC.
You just getting you going to JCC?
Right.
That means you couldn't get in the U of A.
Right. You gotta go there and get your GPA up.
You go to JCC to get that GPA up, and then you can go to U of L or Spalding or one of them. And now it's one of those things where it's like, man, a lot of these, like you said, Janessa, these creators, you can hop on, get you a 2-year associates, get some of these core classes out the way, and really pave your way, and then hit that 4-year degree later on in life and be good to go.
Absolutely. Because higher education, it used to be, liberal arts education was the ideal, because you're expanding your mind, you're learning about all these cultures and languages and people. But now we have the internet, we have social media, like people just travel and do all this stuff. So you don't need college for that anymore. Absolutely. And when you really see what people do after they graduate from college, there's a lot of people who are not working within the degrees that they paid thousands of dollars for. And that's why the conversation around it needs to shift. And also, I don't know if y'all remember those charts where it's like average income with the high school diploma, with an associate, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember those.
That is so inaccurate. I worked at a community college in Pennsylvania, and I'm so glad that I did, because that even expanded my perspective of the benefits of getting certifications and associate's degrees. There was like a IT, I want to say there was like a associates in computer information science, and the area we lived in was close to an army depot, and they were looking for IT people to help with making sure the security systems were good. Their starting salary was $60,000.
Yep.
There are people with PhDs that aren't making that much.
Making that.
You know what I'm saying? So that just completely, I'm like, yo, what are we telling kids when we're showing that chart?
Yeah.
And what was it? I think my mom told me one time of a story. I don't know if she made it up or not, but it was basically,
You know how
parents
parents
be making
speak.
up them stories.
Yeah, right.
But
Teach
she
you a
was like,
lesson.
a teacher was talking to her students, and she said, "You better be careful, or you'll end up being like, or taking out the trash, or being a garbage man." And one of the students was like, "So my dad is a garbage man, and I know he makes more than you." And I was like,
Yeah.
Right. See?
well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
right. I'm going to just ease
That's
on
real.
down.
That
That's
is so
real.
real.
But
That's
it's
real.
real. It's true. These trade
Yes.
jobs, do you know
Yes.
how much we need trade positions?
Mhm.
We don't,
Mhm.
electricians, plumbers, carpenters, there's a lack for that. So there's a need. So telling
Mhm.
students, oh, go to college and get this 4-year degree. Nah, bro, go get
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
trade.
Yeah.
Start
Right.
making your
Yeah.
money. Because
Do
that's
you
where it is.
do you think it's a like a status thing? As,
I think
instead
so.
of like it's about status saying, oh, I did this thing, as opposed to what am I really building?
Yes.
What am I really producing for my
I
family, for myself?
I absolutely think it is a status thing. I think we've been conditioned to believe that the college degree is the ultimate success.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that, I mean, that's been for centuries, right? Professors used to be like that person. Teachers, well, male teachers used to be those people like, oh my gosh, you're a professor, you're a teacher, you're so smart.
Mhm.
But that has been fed to us for so long, and
Mhm.
it's extremely outdated. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
outdated.
Mhm.
And that's definitely something that I feel needs to change.
So Janessa, with everything that's been going on with the shifting as far as 4-year versus associate's degrees versus certifications versus trades and everything like that, what does your company offer to kind of help people kind of, weave in and out of all of these things?
Yeah. So what we do is we help you with your financial journey, whatever that looks like. So if a person is like, I want to start my own business and I want it to be a mechanic shop. Cool. Let's talk about what that looks like. Let's talk about the startup costs associated with that, but let's also talk about the education you would need for that. You may be a phenomenal mechanic, but how are you on the business side? How are you with keeping track of the books? How are you with monitoring taxes? If you plan to have employees, making sure you have an actual finance person in there and you're accurately vetting your employees. So having that discussion with them is what we would do. If somebody's trying to figure out if they want to go to college or not, I've been working for colleges since 2012. So talking about the different forms of education after high school would be something that we would discuss, and then how to fund that, and also helping them create goals. So with My Wealthy Wellness, we're very goal oriented and action driven. And so every single appointment, the goal is to have action steps. So, all right, here are our next steps. What do you want to accomplish within the next 2 months? Okay, cool. So here are some steps to get that accomplished. So nowadays, there are a lot of entrepreneurs coming up, and what we're starting to do is trying to help entrepreneurs understand how to navigate the financial side of being an entrepreneur. So not just funding the business, but funding your life as well. Because if you plan to be self-employed, then you're going to have to pay yourself a salary. So discussing what does that salary look like, um, and also being honest with that. It's so easy to not be truthful with your own income. It's real easy when you are the accountant, you're the marketer, you know what I'm saying? You're everybody. So actually helping people lay out, this is what the salary is going to be. These are going to be the cost of service. This is how your inventory, all of that. If it's something you're physically selling, inventory and everything. And then if you're selling a service, discussing your fees and actually breaking down why the fees are the cost that they are. And then if there is any education needed, seeing what makes the most sense. So do you need a certification? Or would it be beneficial to do something with an associate? You know, those types of things we help with.
So Janessa,
Sounds like you do a personalized type thing.
Oh yeah, we're very, very personalized, especially considering finances for every person is different. So with working one-on-one with individuals, we look at the whole person, not just the money. Like when I'm in an appointment, I don't want to just focus on income versus expenses. I genuinely want to know, what do you want your life to look like? So if you say you want to retire by 45, cool, let's discuss what that would look like. Because I don't want things to seem unreachable. I think that's another programming thing that we've been told. Like, I think we've been conditioned to really think you have to work 15 years before even getting close to six figures. And that's not necessarily the case. There are other ways to build up your net worth and to also make more money. Having more than one stream of income, that's starting to become the norm now. And I'm so happy about that, because when you really think about just having one stream of income, that can be volatile. Look at what happened with Corona. How many people were furloughed? How many people were laid off? How many people had to file unemployment and stuff? So helping individuals see their options and see their possibilities is something we try to do. And we do group workshops as well. So working with, community centers, working with schools, all of that, we try to provide this education to people.
You hear that, guys? She does group work. Group.
That's what's up.
Janessa, I had a quick question. So I know that my friend Dr. Bruce came to see you, and not that you should, your client's confidentiality or anything like that. But I'm just curious. Did she come and talk to you about setting up a practice, possibly in Louisville? Did she? Blink once. Blink once.
I can answer that. She did not. She did not do that. But I'm glad you said
Did you encourage her to do so?
No, she did not. No, she did not.
We talked about entrepreneurship. We did discuss.
We did.
I think you should tell her that the market where she is dry. It's just dry.
Right. The Louisville, Kentucky.
You know what?
Market.
The Lord, He invented telehealth, and so I can work from anywhere. Okay, there's a license, there's a way.
Oh, you can work from anywhere, so you can set up shop here in Louisville and work anywhere.
North Carolina.
The conversation has derailed. This is a good space to talk about my appointment with Janessa, because everything you just said and how you describe what you go through with folks. We only had one appointment, but everything you said is so true. I felt that way. So first of all, I reached out to Janessa maybe like a month ago or more. I want to say it was actually before I went on vacation, came to Louisville, and I said I need to get this together. And it's like, okay, yeah, let me know when you want to meet. I said, okay, let me look at my schedule. I did not. I was like, no. I avoided it. And so then I got back. I was like, we want to do this episode. And I was like, you know what? I should go ahead and take the plunge and speak with her beforehand, because then I can talk about it on the show. And, I do have my doctorate and I have 2 masters before that. And so I was like, Janessa,
you ain't got to brag like that, though.
I'm saying. The number is high, okay? I shared my number
up there,
and then I also shared Sean's number together, and our number. I didn't do the math. I let Janessa do the math. I didn't add them together.
It was overwhelming, huh?
Okay. So I said, I want us to enjoy our life. I don't want to be living for paying off debt. And she was like, you can do that. There's a plan for that. And so she talked to me about several different options, one of which was this analysis thing that we talked about, which I would like to do, but we'll talk about that offline. And I felt so comforted. It wasn't oh, Simone, you're so bad. You should have been talking about this beforehand. You're so... These are all the things I'm telling myself, and I'm telling myself that a financial planner, like, yeah, they would probably think that of me. And she didn't say any of that. It was really comforting, honestly. And I feel more hopeful and more motivated. So yeah, we're going to continue working. And I've already like emailed friends and all that. So thank you for that, because it was very, very helpful.
And Simone, I have a question for you, because I think on the frugality scale, you are probably.
I am.
Yeah, you're very.
I don't buy nothing. Okay.
I mean, you just got rid of your car that you've had since college.
Right.
Yeah.
20 years old.
Fall out. Yeah. Come on.
What'd you say?
I said that car is 20 years old.
It hurt my heart to part with that car, because I think you drive it till the wheels fall off.
The wheels were falling off.
They were about to fall off.
They were, but then you put them back on. You put the wheels back on.
But what I was gonna say is you're a very frugal person. You don't really do a lot of overspending or splurging. So the fact that you felt like what made you feel like you wanted to take this road to find out about financial planning or building your wealth?
Because, with my degree, if I play the cards right, and with what y'all are talking about with multiple streams of income, I have the capacity to make a good salary, right? But there is going to be a large chunk of that that's going to have to go toward paying off this debt, and we want to get out of this apartment and buy a house. But with this debt, are we going to be able to do that? We need somebody to help us to navigate that, because for us, we just refuse to not be able to enjoy our lives, because I've been in school for 5 years and it's time, And so that's why I was like, let me talk to somebody who knows. And she was like, listen, you can pay this off, and there's a way to pay this off perhaps in 7 to 10 years. It's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work and planning. But to hear her say it's possible, I was like, I can't believe she said that, because the way they when I just did my exit loan counseling or whatever, and the way they have it paid, set up for you. Oh yeah, you paid off in 86 years. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody.
Those aren't months. Not 86 months. That's 86 years.
On your deathbed, you click in for the last.
Your tombstone gonna say "Still owe Sally Mae." Is what it's gonna say.
So Janessa, as it relates to student debt for people like me, and so for me, I knew with my I knew I had to get this degree to do what I wanted to do. I had to do that. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have done it. But what is your advice? What are your thoughts? What should I have done? Should I have been talking about this 5 years ago?
And be truthful, Janessa.
Right.
Yeah, just do it. Read me for Phil. It's fine.
I think that with getting an advanced degree, it definitely is something where having a conversation would have been helpful a while back. I think, unfortunately, the people who are there to provide that help don't necessarily give you in-depth help. So I will say, as a person who worked in financial aid, we are the most knowledgeable of the student loans and all of that at that point. However, in being in financial aid, you are an office of, so let's see, when I was in grad school, there might have been about 25 of us total, but this institution was almost 42,000 students. So, and of the 42,000, a good percentage use some form of aid. So having the time to individually sit with students and talk about their options and explaining things, it just logically wasn't feasible. So it's I can't blame the office for that, because they're having to process applications, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of processing every single day. So definitely having the conversation early is helpful. And that's why when it does come to going to grad school, talking to somebody before making solidified decisions definitely is a thing that I would recommend. And then funding options, I think, is another thing that sometimes we forget to discuss with grad school, because I think we're also told that, graduate school, nothing's available for you, but that's not true. usually grad school, there's teaching assistantships, research assistantships, graduate assistantships. For people who do not know what those are, these are positions where you're either teaching or helping to teach a class, you're working in an office. That's what I did. You are helping a professor do research. And in the process of doing that, your coursework is paid for, or a certain amount is paid for. So they may pay for 12 credit hours a year, 6 credit hours a semester, or they may give you a stipend to cover everything. So your tuition as well as living expenses. So in my experience, those have been the main ways people pay for graduate school. But there's also fellowships, which are similar to assistantships. It's a scholarship, and usually there's something associated with it. So you're doing research, or you're helping a professor do something. But I don't think that is discussed enough with students when it comes to going to graduate school. I think undergrad, we talk a lot about applying for scholarships and grants, but for graduate school, it's, oh, you're gonna take out some loans. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I don't think that's fair. But yeah, having these conversations early can definitely help potentially reduce the amount of debt that you would incur over time.
We go into it hopeless. We go into it like, this is just what it is. We're going to incur the debt and we'll just pay it off later. And that is literally the conversation. There isn't anybody often in the family that's going to bankroll you. Nope. You know, like for me, my mom helped with undergrad, so I didn't have any undergrad loans. And I thought she was going to continue. And she was like, no. You're done.
Like, I did the basic. If you're moving forward, that's on you.
Which was the right thing for her to do. That's, that's what should happen. But that we go into it hopeless. Like,
and I also think that if you choose, which I'm glad you mentioned what you said about being in an institution, like a traditional learning institution, and the breakdown of financial aid office representatives versus the student ratio, because it's a bit overwhelming. And if I remember from my days in college, you had maybe 3 or 4 counselors assigned to a certain range of letters in the alphabet. And if those people come in and see you and talk to you, and they usually don't come unless they didn't get their reimbursement check, you know, so they come to talk to you then. But I want to
refund check.
The refund check didn't hit. But also for non-traditional learning. So if you do programs or go to fully online schools, the involvement of the financial aid office is less. So, let me say to you, if you're considering, because it's easier because of COVID and you want to go back, you want to go online, and any of these fine, reputable institutions you want to try, do talk to somebody first, because they don't spend a lot of time talking to you about the money. No. They tell you what it costs. I'm not going to say they lie to you or bamboozle you in any way. They tell you that it costs, but they don't spend a lot of time talking to you about the options or what could you do. So as Janessa said, find somebody you trust. Find Janessa.
I'm here to help. Like, I always think it's good for college to at least make one ally, like one person that you can make a connection with, because what'll happen is you can use them to help you with other things. So if a student is coming into school and they met a professor and they got really cool with the professor, they can use that professor and ask, do you know anybody in admissions that could possibly help? They may not, but they likely know somebody who can still help. And so having that person that can be an advocate for you, having that person who can help you find things, that's half the battle right there. It's just having someone who can help you.
Yeah. I had another quick question. I think I wonder if you've seen this, because you have been involved with academia and working with folks both in and outside of institutions. Has the mindset about accepting student loan debt changed in your opinion? Because I feel like when I was in college, and I say this, so I may be a perpetuator of bad advice, but when people say something about, I don't want to be in student loan debt, I don't want to take the debt, get your education, take the debt. Sally Mae would get her money one way or the other, And I feel like that was
right.
When we were in school, it was like, okay, I'll pay it off 20 years, whatever. But now I see a lot of children, or not children, but kids coming into college or even ready to come out and go to the next level. And they're like, I just don't want this debt. And I'm like, I have this, like, are you going to let the thought of student loan debt keep you from pursuing your education?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to go further, because if you're going like a path Simone went on to a doctorate level, or even if you want to go to a secondary degree for whatever your profession may be, you may incur some debt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of students are, I think it's called debt averse.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning they just, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I do not want to take out student loan debt. I've heard too many horror stories. No. So what I find myself doing is just explaining what student loans are, helping them understand the differences between subsidized and unsubsidized loans, helping them, again, see the big picture. So a scenario that I like to use with people when it comes to student loan debt is, it's like you're your own house. You are your first business. And so if you have to incur debt, that's the startup cost of your business. Mm-hmm. Because the goal is for you to get this degree and work within a specific area so that you can pay those startup costs off. Same thing with the business. If you start a business, you have startup costs. The goal is for you to work within that business to get money to pay off those startup costs. Mm-hmm. And so trying to get students to understand debt does not have to be scary. Debt is a bill. It's a bill. You pay all your other bills to pay on stuff. Debt is the same thing. Mm-hmm. Try not to give it more weight than what it truly is. You use a good or service, now you're just paying it off. Trying to get students to understand it that way hopefully reduces the terror around student loans and helps them fully see their options. Now, I'm not someone who's for or against debt. I mean, debt is debt. If you use it a certain way, you'll get results a certain way. Mm-hmm. Helping students when they are in the process of borrowing, helping them see, like, if I borrow this is how much it will cost in the long run when you're looking at interest, and this will be my monthly payments. That's my main concern, helping them see this is what it will look like when you start paying it back. You can start now if you have the money for it, or, say a year from now, you can start paying on it. There's multiple options to pay on it, but make your decision in borrowing loans with all of the cards out on the table. Mm-hmm. So I've found that that's helped with students being comfortable borrowing loans, but still, I think society has done a great job in terrifying people.
Absolutely.
Well, Sally Mae's a gangster, and she's gonna
get her money.
Yes, but I will say this. I will say this. So if a person is in undergrad and they've only taken bachelor courses, unless they borrowed a private loan, their loan limit will be a certain amount. So for an undergraduate student, and you're a dependent student, you can only borrow up to $31,500 off undergrad. Once you're at that limit, you cannot receive anything else unless you are declared independent. If you're independent, it's like $57,500, I believe. Even with those two amounts, if I'm seeing somebody that has $90,000 just from their bachelor's degree, what that's telling me is you likely took out federal and private loans. Mm-hmm. So already having those private loans is what hurts a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It's because private loans are not regulated by the federal government. They're regulated by their individual companies. Mm-hmm. So if you have a variable interest rate, meaning it changes, it can be 3% when you borrowed it, but it now can be 10%. And calculates monthly. And that happens all the time. So it's like with some of these horror stories, it's also, for me, I like to know the details. Are these all federal loans? Are they federal and private loans? Did you defer your loans for 10 years and now you wanted to start paying on them? Because you can defer your loans, but that interest is still going to grow.
Yeah, you're not deferring the interest.
Exactly.
Right,
And that
right.
compound interest is what hurts. It's like, do you all know how the compound interest works? I can explain it if you all want me to.
Oh, please.
Go ahead.
So it's just like, okay, say you borrowed $100 and your interest rate is, I'm going to give a high example, 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you don't pay anything on that $100. So at the end of the year, $10 accrued in interest on that. So what happens is that $10 is added on to the $100. So now the upcoming year, it's going to accrue interest off of $110 instead of $100.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't pay any more interest, now 10% grows even more. And at the end of that year, it's added on to the 110. So I don't know what 10% of 110 is. Was that $11?
Yeah, something like that. It's like $121 now.
Right, exactly. So now it's accruing 10% of $121. So that's what hurts people is we don't pay on the interest. And at the end of the year, whatever is left in interest, it is added onto the principal. Mm-hmm. So now the interest grows on the higher amount.
So if you do that for like 10
going
years.
and going and going and going and going.
Yep. It goes and goes and goes. So that's why it's like, if you can just pay on the interest, if you can do $10 a month on a loan that is $3,500 and the interest rate is like between 3 to 6%, $10 to $20 a month will not only keep the interest down, you'll start paying on the principal. So that's a small amount every month. And that's assuming you have not gone into repayment. So say you borrowed this while you're still in school, do 20 a month. That's going to pay it down and keep the interest down. If you are out of school during that grace period, if you can pay something small on the interest, do it.
I think you just blew somebody's mind on paying student loans while you still
in school.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Janessa, you have said so many things that I didn't know. You've said so many just awesome advice. And unfortunately, we are pretty much out of time. But I see like 2 more episodes out of this, so we're not finished. But as we back, yes, as we come to the end here, can you please tell people how to find you, where to find you, your website or other social medias?
Yes, you can visit my website. It is www.mywealthywellness.com. You can also, you can subscribe there. I try to send like monthly affirmations and blogs and things. You can also follow me on Instagram. So at My Wealthy Wellness. I also have a Facebook page. So My Wealthy Wellness LLC on Facebook. And you can email me at Janessa, JANESSA, at mywealthywellness.com.
And we will have some of this stuff showing on the screen at the end, and we'll also put it in our comments and episode details so you can find Janessa. Because we want y'all to find Janessa. I want Janessa to be booked and busy.
Booked and busy. And I want us to have like questions or something before the show. If there's a way if we can generate like viewer questions so we could ask those on the show next time or something. We need to figure
if you all see, as you're watching this, if you all have questions, feel free to write them in our comment box. If you kind of personal questions that you want to remain anonymous, send them to our inbox. Corona Times has an inbox in Facebook Messenger. You can send them there, and then we will ask Janessa. We will keep you anonymous if you don't want to be revealed. And then when we come back, because
I'll be me.
Yeah,
I'll be me.
We're gonna have to come back. I know viewers can't see it, but I'm looking at my production notes, and we only got like a third of the way through what we want to talk about.
Plus my other notes. Look, my other notes, my side notes.
She's making notes on notes when we come back.
Yes. So, Janessa, we always end the show talking about self-care and how we're going to kind of take care of and ground ourselves before we head out of here. Tiffany, Brandon, y'all got any self-care goals y'all want to put out there?
Mine's about to be easy. I'm about to be on vacation, and I'm just going to do vacation things. Okay. And that may not mean leaving or going anywhere. I'm not going to do any extra work. I'm going to enjoy the time. Maybe get some things done around the house that I've been putting off. That long list of things we said we was going to do when Corona hit. We were at home. I haven't really done many of those things. So I may do some of that because as Simone knows, organizing brings me joy. So, I haven't really had time for that. You think it's crazy. You think that when you're home all the time during COVID, you're going to have more time to do stuff, and you really don't. So I'm going to try to do that this week, but really just relax and kind of enjoy myself and not use this as a time to start another business or take on any new projects. I'm just going to be quiet and sit still.
How do you do?
Brandon, what about you?
I am going to attempt to go to bed. This is the end of August, beginning of September. I don't have anything that I have to do. So I am outside of work and whatnot. So I want to go to bed at a decent hour.
Okay. I am going to re-up on my staying present with my family and putting my cell phone away and stop scrolling. Ain't nothing but bad news on there anyway as I scroll.
You're right.
How will I talk to you? How will we communicate?
I'll do polos with y'all, okay? I'll do polos with y'all. But this is what we forgot to say was we're not going to be having a show next week because of the holiday, and it's also my birthday. So I will be trying to stay present as I get older, which is a good thing.
How'd you be?
30 again, just 30.
No.
30 and some change.
You old. Simone, you old.
No.
I will be 36.
No,
okay?
thank you.
I have now caught up with Tiffany. Okay? I caught up with Tiffany.
Embrace it.
Yes, I am the young one, 35.
You're not far behind us, friend.
You got more gray hair than both of us combined.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Chill. I still look good though.
Funny.
Janessa, what about you? What kind of self-care you got going on this week?
I am going to work on getting out and walking every day, at least a mile a day, and just getting out the house so that I'm not just stuck, in front of a computer all day and sitting down.
Okay.
Well,
and I'm sure you'll take Ariel with you.
She has a choice.
Sometimes I'll take her. She gets excited, so she pulls, and I'm small. So she pulls me. And yes. Oh gosh. Yes. But we shall see.
Well, Janessa, we can't say thank you enough for joining us.
Oh.
It's so funny how the Lord works. When we first started doing our little outline for Corona Times and how we wanted to do episodes, we had put in there that we wanted to do an episode about financial wellness, but at the time didn't know that this is what you did. And then I think we actually had a mindset to ask you to be on our Ladies Night episode. But we didn't, the way it played out, we didn't get to have you, but it was like, but we can have her for this. And I was like, this is awesome. So, I'm glad you're going to have to come back. You have no choice but to come back and do a part 2 with us now. So definitely. But again, as Brandon said earlier, we are all very proud of you. You are very, way knowledgeable about this and sharing things with us who are long out of school and long past this point and in the middle of paying back our loans. You've just been sharing a lot with us and just showing us it's never too late to start having that conversation about getting back on track with your finances. And I appreciate the representation.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
It really means a lot. Thank y'all so much for having me on this. I have enjoyed this thoroughly. So, yes, thank you.
Okay, well, next week we will not have a new episode. We will show a watch party of our choosing. So, keep a lookout for these Corona Times to see which one pops up. Also, we will be coming back. I hope coming back with Janessa when we come back from our break.
Yes.
But in the meantime, we want to wish Simone happy birthday in these Corona times.
Thank you.
Birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to
Sing, Janessa.
See, there she go singing. There she go singing.
She can do it all, folks. She can do it all.
Seriously.
Well, until next time, continue to stay safe in these Corona times.
Wear your mask, folks.
Yeah, stay up off of people. Stay back.
Stay back.
Social distancing.
I much. And
Yep. And don't spend your stimulus check on all the shoes. You know.
Don't. We're gonna talk about that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon was like, but I already did.
Not about me though. It's not about me.
Not my business.
Thank y'all. Until next week. Until next time. Excuse me. We remain yours.
Remain yours.
Remain yours.